Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Speed Talk. I believe this is episode 21. Pretty excited about this one. Got a Northern Iowa legend here. The A Train, Al Hejna, joins us tonight. Al, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for asking me.
So, Al, first off, just take us through how's your 25 season started off for you? Done a little racing?
Oh, we haven't done a whole lot. We intended to go down to the King of America, and just the way things worked out with work and stuff and business and being ready to go down that far. I just wasn't ready, so we didn't go there. So we just been kind of racing in Mason City. Um, got a couple seconds there, and when we opened up the season, and then we were going to hit those 3 nights at USMTS with Brit and Deer Creek and Mason. And Brit we started out okay. We qualified good. We had some things going on in the rear end geometry. It made us really tight, and we were three-wheeling around there. And I didn't get it quite fixed for Deer Creek, so we didn't do real well up there. And then when we got to Mason, it was my dad's memorial race. I ended up pulling the bracket out of the brake floater out of the frame for the heat. So then we were done, and then we went up to Fountain City for the 100,000 to win, and I just didn't get the car right fixed, from that deal. So we were just kind of up there making laps, but we were up there at the show, and that was pretty cool. But other than that, I don't think I've raced. I don't know if I've raced since. We've been rained out at Mason, and no, we did one more night. We had that Northern Lights
Yeah.
race.
Oh yeah.
And we were, inside the top 10 there, and we were. I got under Harley. I thought I had him going into one, and then I just got a little tight. So then I gave him position back going down the backstretch, and we got together a little bit, and I got a flat tire, and I was glad it was me that got the flat, not him, because I kind of got in harder than I should have. And I gave him position back, so I mean he didn't do anything wrong. I just kind of got in there, and we touched a little bit and tore my right rear up. So,
I think
but
I think I just missed you coming off of four
oh
because I was
yeah,
I watched it happen, and
mm-hmm.
then yeah, when you pull, because you must have pulled in like the corner after, like right away, because that must
Oh
have went
yeah.
flat right away, and then
Once we made contact, I knew I had a flat, and I just got off the track.
yeah.
Yeah, it was quick. Well, I was slowing down fast anyway, with the right rear flat. But
Yep.
So, Al, I
yeah,
wanna go back. You said you got talking about your 3 night stint there racing Brit on Friday. That was my first time at Brit, but how about that night? I mean, 160 something cars. Who the hell expected that? I went down there. Dad and I talked about it. It was actually my dad's idea.
yeah.
Like, cause I'd never been to Brit before, and I don't know if you remember, but that's where Parker won his first B mod race when he was 12 years old. Was at
Yeah,
was at Brit. So
was
Dad
there.
kind
Yeah.
of when Dad heard there was a USRA race there, I think he was feeling a little bit sentimental or something. So he wanted to
Hmm.
go down there and race, and I'm like, oh yeah, we'll go race. It's like 700 to win for the B mods. There'll
Yeah.
probably be 12 or 15 race cars. Like not a big deal. Then we get there and there's 35 B mods and whatever there was. It was just an unexpected Friday night at Brit.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, everybody's been itching to go back to that place and race, evidently. But yeah, it was. It was. I don't know if there was anybody expected that.
No, that
It
was
was way beyond any expectations anyone had, and it was sure a good thing for USMTS and Brit.
absolutely God
Yeah,
and
Dad
Strickland.
stopped by, and it seems like me and your dad will get into a conversation. It's an hour sometimes when
Oh
we're
yeah.
talking, and but yeah, he reminded me or told me that that's where Parker won his first race or there.
Yeah.
That was shit.
So
That
yeah.
was already 15 years ago. 15 years went by like the snap of your fingers. I can't believe it was that long ago already.
Oh yeah, tell me about how fast it goes.
So
But
Al, tell us a little bit. So for a while there, you were heavy hitting it with the racing, following the USMTS. Took a little bit of a break, dabbled with was it like the SLMR late model series for a little bit, and then now you're back in with like the Rage Chassis Open Modified. How's that I guess switch been from taking a break, I don't know how many years ago now, but
oh,
then
it
to be
was
racing again. Is it pretty good, or was it hard to stay away from it and feel good to be back? Or I guess what's that transition been like?
well, yeah. 2012 was my last full time year with USMTS back then, and I just needed I just got we just had such a terrible year. Even Corey and I were arguing with each other. We usually get along pretty good, but
Yeah.
I kind of stepped away. 13, I just started taking care of business. The restaurant was only a couple years old. The bar was established, but I just had to stick around and work there and just kind of, I don't know. I didn't know if it was just time for me to be done or what, but we got out of it, for a while. I kept my hauler and I kept my motors. I figured, sometime down the road I'll want to get back into a car. I raced a guy's car at Night of a Thousand Stars, I think, in 13 or 14, and then I don't know, 15 I didn't get in a car at all, and then Delane from Mason City Auto Sales, he wanted me to drive his car for a little bit in 16, but that was the same year I was promoting Mason the first year, so it was kind
Mm.
of hard to do any of that, and just to jump in a car and race it here and there is just not going to be successful. And at the end of 16, he had two cars, Corey Drips, and they had a big special at Farley, and I went down there and drove the car, and it was like, next thing I know, I'm ordering a car from Joe Bob, and that's when I got a 525 in that because as I was promoting Mason, I just wanted to test with the 525 and see, what there's anything could be done with it, and then I had an IMCA car also, and I run that 1 year, and uh, I just kind of got fed up with that program, and I priced everything to sell real cheap so I could get rid of it, and just got another USRA car, and it just was going to get. Then I ended up getting two 525s, and before you know it, I'm running 3 years with that thing, and I won three new 525s running that USMTS, running the USMTS program, and I haven't traveled full time or anything like that. I was racing just enough to have the most points with a 525 that we were kept winning engines. And now I've got three brand new ones sitting there. I could be able to race to 190 if I want on those because they just last forever. But we got a spec engine in one of the cars now, so we got a little more horsepower. But this year we're not going to be able to do a whole bunch more racing, just Mason City. I got friends' kids getting married, and then my nephew's getting married over the jamboree, so I'm going to miss the jamboree,
Ooh.
which is, can't help it. We're going to,
Life.
yeah, that's what we're doing. So we got some work to do in the trailer and the hauler, so we're going to probably get that done before fall and just kind of race local and Mason the rest of the year. And the late model, I've only run it one time in SLMR at Mason City. I bought the thing. It needed work, and I only ran it a couple nights, and I took the motor out and had it freshened up. So I got a new motor for that, but I just got to get it in. I just can't find time to work on it. But I'm going to here try to get it out next month and race in Mason City at a couple of their shows and something toward the end of the year. Have a little fun with that.
Awesome. I wanna so you did mention promoting Mason City, back in 16. I guess that was something I did want to touch on. What Al, what all went into, getting tied up into that deal? I know it was you and the Staley family. Just kind of how'd that all come about in 2016?
Well, Joe was leaving Ringsdorf that had promoted it for quite a while, and I was on the fair board at the time, and and the candidates, that were coming in, there really wasn't big plans, and I just thought, it was just a good place for, to get USRA going, and in Mason City, and Todd got interested in it, and I just Mason's my home. I've been going to races there since in 1964 I started going watching my dad. So it's been, I've spent so much time at that place. It just has a special place in my heart with me, and I just wanted to see if we could turn it around and make it something. But it was just half mile rate. I did it 16, 17, and 18, and it was prep at a half mile track. But that one, it was 2,700 feet around, so it was more than a half mile. It was 90 foot wide. It takes a lot of time, and it was just so big. I mean, the racing just wasn't that close, wasn't that competitive, and they just wanted something different. And I just let Todd take over the contract in 19 on his own, and that's when he started to reshape the track, make it smaller. And I just think he's done a heck of a job with it. But it wasn't anything that I could put as much time as it required, with my other three businesses, and if I was going to do any more racing. But it's going pretty good right now, I would say.
Oh, I love Mason
Yeah.
A
City.
fun little
Yeah,
track. Mason's a great track.
it is.
I wish I could race on like I don't want to say Fridays, that would interfere with MTS, but
Sundays would be
I don't
fine
know, like
if we were like half hour away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then it'd
be
be
a lot more
perfect.
fun, but
I
it's a
mean,
little
it's
bit of
not
a
that
drive
it's
for us.
not, hour and a half. I mean, when we go up to Deer Creek, we get home quick. It just doesn't take too long. They really don't have another night that they can really race.
Right.
Right.
That would be any better. I mean, Friday's out because, like you said, you got Fountain City, we have Lansing. It's
Right.
racing also
True.
USRA, and Fairmont's USRA. So it's tough. And Saturday night, obviously, with Deer Creek Racing
Right.
and
Webster.
the other tracks. I mean, and Mason City's just been Sunday night for so long. You know, um, it just it's just about the only night that they can do it. It's just, but it's a tough call. Do you start too early? You're trying to get people to quit doing what they're doing for their Sunday, and then we're racing in the sunshine. So
Yeah.
then what do we have to do? We have to spend a half hour, 45 minutes working on the track because it's going to lag
Okay.
up. And so they'd be better off just starting at, I think, 6:15, 6:30, and try not to do any track prep. As soon as they can get the sun off the track, then it's usually in good. It'll be okay. But
I
I
feel like
think
for the most part, we actually, I mean, almost every time we've been there, we're in and out pretty quick. Like we're never like sitting around waiting for our feature for the most part. I mean,
yeah,
they get their show pushed through pretty quick
yeah, it
for
just
Sunday.
where we fall in the order. I always like being last anyway. I just like more time. But then I live 6 miles away, so
Yeah.
it's a lot easier.
maybe what Todd and Ryan need to do is just listen to all the keyboard warriors. They always like to chime in on Facebook and tell them how to run a perfect program.
Oh, don't they though? Yeah, yeah,
But you said something, Al, about your other businesses. That was another one I did want to touch on. So you got rookies, sevens, and is it tapped, right? You got three
yeah,
businesses.
yeah.
So
Rookies
just
are that's our sports bar pool hall that we've had for 30 years. We just turned 30 years old with that. And we've got 24 TVs. We've got three pool tables, and um, that's been going good. And then right next door, actually connected to it, is we bought it was a cafe. We just turned it into a steakhouse, but we do breakfast, lunch, and dinner over there. We've had that for 15 years. And then about three doors down, we bought a bar about 7, 8 years ago. And my son, Kyle, he runs that for
okay,
for us. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
We were down at Rookies during that B. Oh yeah, Parker, you wouldn't have been with us. We stopped down there during that last year. The last year I ran a B mod, they had like a Wednesday, Thursday,
10,000.
10,000. Yeah. We made a plan to stop in. Food was great, and then we saw you in there, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very cool place.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm there every day. If I'm in town, I'm going in 7 days a week. But
Yeah. So now, Al, I talked with my dad on the phone today, and one topic I had to cover with you. He's talked about rookies. He said there used to be a certain axle that used to hang on the wall in rookies. Is that right?
it's in the shop now. Yeah.
What's the story behind the 28 spline axle?
Oh, thanks. It's just it just needed to go one more lap, and we they wouldn't call John Logan 5 time. That's why they call him 5 time, because we led 39 and a half laps of the 2003 Boone Supernationals and broke an axle
Oof.
coming off two on the white flag lap. Yeah.
I
That's
never knew about that till today.
Damn near needed therapy over that one.
Oh,
make a
I'm
guy move.
sure. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
Yeah. No, that was a tough one. Yeah, it's the Super Nationals. We went down there from 92, 93 to clear into the 2008 or 9. And I made 9 shows in a row that I tried to get in. But we had the front row twice, and so we made some noise down there. Won a couple Ron F. Camp Race of Champions, and made some noise, but never got the big trophy. But yeah, it's on the wall. It's right under my little Boone section I've got in my
Ugh,
shop. Yeah,
that's
you
that's
know,
a
we started out,
heartbreaker.
we started out with when we first got our 9 inches running hobby stocks and limited late models and stuff like that. At the time, we were just 28s, and we just kept accumulating gears and mini spools, and we never really changed, and we just didn't even really have any issues. I can't even remember breaking an axle before that, and all that day I wanted a little more gear, and I was going to go down and buy I think I was going to buy a 583 I run a 67. I was going to go get a 583, but I didn't want to. Fagan, all he had was 31 spline stuff, and I thought, I should have just bought the axles too, and it would have been no problem. But just ifs and buts, you know, a lot of second guessing after that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, not trying to bring up bad, but Dad's like, you gotta at least ask Al about the 28 spline axle.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of people still bring it up.
It's probably like Brandon Davis every time somebody mentions the fall jamboree race when you
All
rode the wall on the
jamboree.
white flag lap.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, so yeah, I guess Al, now you've been racing since I kind of did some research on you today, Al. Have you been racing since the 83? Does that sound right? 84?
80, 80 oops, hang on. 84
And you started in a now I
in
actually read an article on your 525 crate motor through Chevrolet. They did an
yeah.
article on you, and I was reading through that today. It said started in 84, and were you in a did you were starting an enduro car or something racing one of your dad's enduro cars, or what was
in
the story there?
in 1984, racing was kind of taking a hit, and Mason City didn't run weekly that year. They just ran 5 enduros, and we went and bought a 4-door 72 Malibu for $175, and we just welded the door shut, did a little work on it, and we went over to the first enduro. This was a Mason, but they had a little quarter-mile track, and it wasn't even a track. It was a pit road, and they cut some corners in to connect to the pit road, and put 100 cars on this thing, and we'd run 200 laps, and we actually got to the lead the first one we were in, and Just came around one time, and that's when if car stalled or got broke down, they didn't throw cautions. You had to race around them. And I nailed one, and we were done. And then so then we didn't race again for another month, but we had to weld all four corners of the frame. Were all rusted and busted, and we fixed it up, and we went out the next week, and we won. So we won our second race out, and Enduro thousand bucks. That's a lot of money back then. Thought, man, here we go.
God, the purses have really went up since then, haven't they?
Yeah, no, well, depends.
Depends where
You
you
know,
go. Yeah.
Depends where you go.
yeah, it all depends. But yeah, so then we ran a hobby stock. I had a Monte Carlo for a couple of years after that. That was a 74 Monte. That was heavy. We run that, and then we had a Camaro hobby stock for a couple of years until we got into the limited late models and run Mason. Then we ran Cresco for in the 91, 92, 90 and 91. I'm sorry, limited late models up there, and then we went into modifieds in 92. So
Awesome.
yeah,
What was your first modified Al? Like, was it home built or was it a? I guess you were tied in with Harris for so many years. Like
uh,
the early Harris car
I
or what?
no, it was Dirt Trek Products. Mike and Denny Carlberg in Iowa Falls. They built some pretty good cars back then. Mike Carlberg was pretty good modified driver in the 80s and 90s, and had one of those for a couple years. And then Joe Schmidt was building cars, and in 94 we got one of his cars. It was a stack leaf lift arm car, which is try to figure that out now today. Wrap your mind around that. How would you? There's no rear steer. It's just pretty flat car. But I run that car for 4 years, and then we got into Harris.
Those leaf springs are probably good in the holes, weren't they?
Not too bad if but then you're changing them every 6 nights.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. That's true.
yeah. No, it was. No, you wouldn't see anything like that today. But no, it was. Then we got into Harris, and Mike got a Harris in 97. I waited till 98. And we were in those for 5 or 6 years. Then we run Skyrockets. When Kelly come out with a Skyrocket the first year we were in them, and we raced those for a few years. And then I got back into a Harris. I got a deal with Johnny Logue, and we had a USMTS house car there for a while, and won kind of quite a few races with them. And that's about when Mike quit. He quit about 2007 or 8 is when he got out of it. So yeah.
What was that like all those years? You and your brother racing together and doing was that a lot of fun, a lot of good memories
Oh
there?
yeah, it was a time of my life. Yeah, we had that, running down the road, going to these races, and no, we just had a blast. Yeah, it wasn't. It was competition was stiff. And USMTS 20 years ago. If you think of all the names, 8 of the back then, I think, there's still 8 of those guys are in the top 10 in wins in USMTS. So it was a lot of fun. Made a lot of good friends, and yeah, Mike and I had a lot of fun.
Dad told me,
Remember the white and black skyrockets rolling up. I was so young, but I do recall a few memories of both of you racing at the same time.
Yeah.
And I still have a signed O'Reilly Auto Parts hat when he won that USMTS show on the Tri-Oval. It was like 2008.
Oh, yeah.
And I still have that hat somewhere. I think it's in my bedroom at my parents' house. But
Oh,
yeah, you signed that hat you wore in Victory Lane and gave it to me. I never forgot it.
yeah.
Oh man, you and Jason Hughes growing up were like
I
my
was
two
I was just gonna
idols,
say
like
that.
my two idols.
I was
It was like
to a T. I was gonna say. I remember Al. You were when I was a little kid. You were so big to me. Like not like you were just. It was Al Hejna. You had the cool mustache, and you were just. You were the man. I remember when I was a little kid. I don't know if you remember this, Al. At one point, I think we were at Deer Creek, and I actually slept in your hauler. I don't know if
Oh,
you're. I don't know if you
oh,
remember that.
oh,
Dad,
wow. That's awesome.
yeah, I slept in the
Yeah.
big red hauler, and to this day, I'm 24 now, and I still remember that I gotta take a nap in Al Hejna's hauler.
Oh,
I thought it was so cool when I was a little kid. I mean,
that's
yeah,
cool.
you and Jason
Yeah.
Hughes, because I always thought, you guys knew my dad, and you guys would always say hi to us, and when you were a little kid, that was so cool looking back on now how,
Yeah.
like I said, just how big you guys were to me. It was
Yeah.
awesome. I
You kind
really,
of you kind of take it for granted. I remember going to those USMTS shows back in 07, 08, 09, 2010, right, right when the dirt night started. And it was like you go to Deer Creek on a Saturday where you guys would have raced on a Friday the night before somewhere. And there was like 15 to 20 plus haulers, like of USMTS regulars, not just the
Yeah.
locals that you get now tied in with the
Yeah.
8 or 10, regulars that follow
Yeah.
it. No, it's probably more than that, but
Yeah.
there was such a following from, 2006 to really 2012. Those memories being a young kid going to those races and sitting when the car was up on the airlifts and you guys would fire
Yeah.
them up and let them warm, put your suits on. It was like, and I'm sure there's so many kids around too that, looked up to all you guys and how cool that was. And now to be able to race with some of you guys when, like, I remember the first time I got to race with yourself, Jason Hughes, my first night in a modified, I was racing side by side with Jason Hughes. It like made
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
career.
because
Yeah.
you watch so many races as a kid, watch you guys come flying down the front stretch all barred up, and the cars would slam down on the left rear, and the rock up, and the left front was up in the air, and that was like the shit if you were toting the left front and jacked up going on the back stretch.
I still haven't broke that habit of dumping the left rear. I said, I cannot, trail brake or drive like, you guys do. I still have that bad habit of dumping the gas.
Pretty
You know,
cool.
car gets all upset and yeah,
Everything
but
unloads and
yeah,
yeah,
just, I've been driving, for so long. I haven't adjusted
yeah.
like I should, but I
That
mean,
that leads into a good one there too, Al. What's what's the biggest change been like for you as a driver maybe and over the course of the last 30 years? I mean, what have been maybe some of the biggest things you've had to adapt to racing now versus maybe 15 years ago?
oh, I shocks, I would say, my goodness, they've gotten, and I, I just kind of, okay, tell the shot guys, tell me what this stuff and run and, what they just send them to me. But yeah, those things have, you know, from the, when I left in 2012 and, I took about 3 years off. I come back. I didn't even know the language they were talking. The terminology and so much about the shocks had changed even in that little bit of time. And these guys are, they're working on these shocks constantly, and they're just finding new ways and new, and ways to build them, and it's amazing the the shock technology. I would say, and things that we 30 years ago, 20 years ago that we thought were so important, we don't even look at anymore. Um, as far as when in this setup and the balance, when it's sitting static, we don't even doesn't even matter. It's so much of that, and we're looking at other things, but other than that, it's everybody always says it's too expensive. We've been having that same conversation for 40 years. That's never going to change. The tire work is tire work. We've been doing that all the same, but and the motors are they're better. A spec engine, 15. We're been in them almost 20 years now. At the time didn't think you're going to get much over 620 horse, but they're more than that now. I think quite a bit. but from what we started out. But I was just running 360s, but they were pretty good. But we could turn a lot more RPMs back then. They don't let us turn the RPMs now, but that's it. But no, we're just going out. My daughter Maddie, she's my crew chief, and she's probably prolonged my career another 10 years because we're just going to keep racing. We just go out, have fun, and
Yeah.
work away.
She loves it, don't she?
Yeah, she does. She watches more racing. She's always watching racing at night on her phone or whatever on her computer, and she goes, "You," and my brother too. My brother can't get enough of it, and
All right, so I kind of forgot where we were at, Al.
um,
I guess let's just go
yeah,
into the boys want to touch on take us through a little bit of the Dirt Knights deal, how that all got started. What was the deal there? How'd that all come about?
so Dirt Nights, that was for me it was who you know, not what you know. It was Corey Drips and Mike Spalding's brainchild, and those two guys, it took probably 3 years of work before they finally got it, going. And they man, they did it right as far as the production, and I mean it was a crazy deal. I didn't have to do anything. I was just kind of along for the ride, and Corey was riding in my rig. We were doubling up, and so that's you know plus being Corey's BFF, I got included in on the deal. So it's a good deal for me. And and they had some good people involved in doing it, but it was so expensive, to produce it, and with all the cameramen they had and everything like that. It went good. It had good ratings and everything like that. It had really good success that way, but they just couldn't get enough sponsors right away to get the second season secured. And I don't know, when did that was in 2010. The second season wasn't until like 2017. They did another one, and I might have been a part of the third season a little bit, just minor, but and then he was doing it from his track here just a couple of years ago, but they haven't done it for a while now. But no, it was quite an experience. It was I tell everybody, says, yeah, it was my worst year racing in 20 years, and it was on TV for everyone to see. So it was like, you know, oh, I remember you guys come down. No kids had more energy, when they'd come down after the races than the Hellboys, and we just and it was pretty awesome. And sometimes I probably wasn't in the best mood, and then after this, God dang it, those kids! I bet they wonder what is wrong with that guy, because I mean, it's, how things are now racing, where it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's tough to put on your best smile and your best face sometimes, and but you guys were a bright spot. Don't think you weren't back then. So it was always awesome to see you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, I probably go back and watch Dirt Nights once or twice this summer. Every year I throw it on YouTube and I just laugh. I mean, there's one episode and probably know what I'm talking about. It was where Gus forgot to change gears one night. I don't know if you remember that. And you and Gus are yelling at each other and
Well,
you're
not
just
too
like,
bad. I mean, I go out there and I drive. I says, well, that should have made a difference because we were running quick changes. So I don't know what the the deal was. The poor guy. I mean, I would have quit. I couldn't quit. I would have quit if I could have, but I couldn't. Because I was stuck with myself. And luckily he could. I mean, we were like brothers or father son, whatever. We had some real good times, and I remember him, well. I really liked him, and but yeah, we had our issues, and but we always, we were always good at the end of the day. It wasn't anything like that, and it's just like, he said he was going to quit. Well, that's like, well, I don't blame you. You know, and um, you could have told me, I would have switched gears.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, because I just knew he didn't when I was out there. I said, this isn't. He didn't change gears. But yeah, and then Maddie, she was 12 at the time. She was, and she saw that episode too. It reminds me, and you were mean to Gus. I says, oh, I wasn't mean to him. That's racing. It's intense. We're not we're not getting personal.
Right.
We're just not polite.
Tempers
Yeah.
definitely flare a little more sometimes at the
Yeah,
racetrack, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Not politically correct.
Yeah.
yeah.
There
Right.
you go.
You gotta have thick skin.
Yes, for sure.
Exactly.
But no, that was
Exactly.
just, and I mean, they could try to do that with, and I'm not saying the guys they got now aren't as, I don't know what the word would be. Just that was such a great season. I mean, between you and Corey, I mean, God, the laughs I have watching some of the shit you and Corey said on that show, and just there's a there's a one episode it's got you shopping and you're going and you're looking through magazines or something. I think you guys were in Humboldt and
No, we were clear the heck out by Dodge City. It was in the middle of nowhere, edge of the earth, Kansas. You know, uh, yeah, it was way out there. I can't remember. Yeah, it's like this is the best thing we can do is film me getting groceries. It's like,
I think the best was the football game at I don't know if it was the Jamboree or if it was just Deer Creek in general, that rain out or whatever, where they were dropping straw in everybody's pit,
that
because
was
it
a
was so
jamboree.
wet.
yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because the creek flooded over.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. That was probably yeah, well yeah, 2010. Yeah.
yeah.
That was I
They were
remember
going to
that.
park us clear down there, clear way down there by the creek. You know, right where you turn the corner to go up the hill. They were going to park us down there, and I wouldn't go down there. And it's like you know, of course, we're arguing about that. And the next day, we'd have had water in our trailers.
Yeah.
It was that high. It says,
Yeah.
"Are you mad now that we're not down there?"
No, you're towing us out with the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
So, yeah, that football game, yeah, that was fun. I was sore after that deal.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Al, is there a race that sticks out over these last, 30 whatever it's been years? Is there one that sticks out as your favorite? I mean, if you had to pinpoint one.
Um, you know, I don't know. There's so many, you know, the we got the three in a row of the Night of a Thousand Stars. That was a pretty cool deal. Maybe that first F camp race, you know, how we won it. You know, we chased the guy down and we traded a couple slide jobs there at the end, and then I didn't let him give me one on the last corner, and we got that. But might be my last USMTS win. It wasn't nothing, you know, crazy, but we were down in Oskaloosa and um, we just won Cresco the night before. Started on the front row with Kelly, and I beat him to the corner, and he followed me for 40 laps, and dang near taught me a lesson. I led for 40 laps, and I just came off four coming for the checkered, and I kind of buzzed the tires a little bit, let the car get sideways, and he was ready for it, and he got beside me. He was waiting for me to do it. He damn near passed me. I almost lost the race by getting cocky, and I said I'd never do that again. And the next night we went to Oskaloosa, and we weren't real good. We were running seventh or eighth, but we caught the rubber, and so we started coming up there. We had a restart with three or four to go, and Gustin was leading, and Kelly was second, and I was third, and we got down into one, and we just hit the rubber just right, and I went right in between them and passed Kelly and Ryan Gustin for my last USMTS win, and then of course Gustin went on to win 100 more after that. But
Yeah.
um,
Pretty good company.
yeah, so I mean that's That was in 2009, but it was, we we had a couple chances since then, but we just never closed the deal.
What Al, what was it like? I guess that's another one. What was it like um racing with Ryan at, in his early years when he was just a little shit? I mean, what was it like having that, I don't know how old he was, 17, 18-year-old just out there kicking all your guys' asses all those years? What was that like having that new kid come in?
Well, the first couple years he was in that, that's the Harris car, the white Harris car. Him and his dad went around, and we all knew he was going to be good. We saw him coming up in the B mods, but you know, we knew how good he was, so we raced him hard. And I've talked to him about for sure. I said, man, when you first came in there, I raced you pretty hard. I crowded you and, didn't give you a lot of, oh, I know. And he would be mad, but did not, and he wouldn't do anything, obviously he was not going to do anything, but I mean, he just would, you could tell he was frustrated, but my God, he's got such a, he's just got such a head for the driving part of it, and he just knows a car, what it's doing and what it needs to do. He's, just he was just pretty good, and he still is. He's just, and I've told him this before, Gus, and I said, when your car's on a track, I can't take my eyes off it. I'm watching him. I don't care what position he's in. I'm watching him. We went down to that flow race this year in Marshalltown, and I wasn't watching. The front had to be exciting a little bit. I watched, with um uh
Hudson and Pierce.
Huddy and whoever else he was racing with. I can't remember Pierce, but where they were going back and forth. But then I started watching Ryan, and he was back in 16th or 17th, and then I'm watching him. I says he's not losing any ground. He's coming through there. So there was a time he was the fastest car on the track. But they were just giving him the top, so he wasn't having any aero issues, running the top up there by himself. And he came up through, and he was, next thing you know it, he's in fifth and sixth, and he was on a restart, and he had a shot at it. But yeah, no, Ryan, he's one of a kind.
He is.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Definitely understand.
Yeah, I mean, you've
I
seen
still think too. I don't know how this would all work, but I would love to see you, John Tesh, Jason Hughes, Kelly Shryock, Ryan Gustin. Who else am I missing? If
Corey.
we could all
Oh, you got
one race, like the fall jamboree
Yeah.
worked out, and
money.
get the whole dirt Corey Drips, get that
Ramirez.
get that whole Dirt Night crew, and the 2007 2012 USMTS crew with all the guys now. I think that would be just the freaking coolest race if you put all. I mean, John Tesh, I don't know what he's doing now or if he heard this, but man, I would love to see that guy wheel a
Yeah.
modified again.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the best
He was,
USMTS races I saw was with him at Casson. It was 14th. It was incredible.
yeah.
But yeah, you kind of take some of that stuff for granted, how fast time has gone by, and just
Yeah.
the I don't know, you go back and watch the old races or recall those races, and there was a lot of good ones. Just a lot of talent, a lot of fun.
Oh boy. Yeah, there's just so many to mention. You don't want to forget anybody, but yeah, there was we had a nucleus there, 15 to 18, good guys traveling there at one time, that could, Jason Crone, Donlinger. I mean, just, you just keep
Huh.
thinking, you
Tommy
know,
Meyer and
T Money. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, Tommy Meyer, I did miss him.
Yeah, I remember, and he just got that
T Money, is
all
that what you called him?
Yeah. That's what we called him
T
back.
Money, I'd never heard that one. T Money, he come up and shook my hand at Deer Creek last week. I was waiting to go across the scale, and I seen old gray hair come by, and he shook my
Yeah.
hand, said, "Good
Oh,
job." He runs a Midwest mod a little bit up by us. I didn't ever know you called him T Money. That's awesome.
oh, yeah.
I still remember when he got in that all black white number GRT in about 20. Do you remember what year that would have been, Al? It was somewhere in that 2012, 2014 range, and he was really good.
Yeah.
Um,
The flat black one with the white,
with the white numbers.
was
The
that
flat
after?
black one with the white. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd probably been around the 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
13 area. Yeah.
Yeah, God, there's so many, like you said, just so many good guys. And yeah, it was kind of looking back on it now, I feel like I kind of took it for granted, but I mean, like you said, Al, there were some legends there. I mean, between Kelly and yourself and I mean, it's fun to look back on.
Yeah.
Lot of wins there. A lot of wins between that group.
Yeah. Yeah. Chase. Yeah. I don't know how many times I chased that number 3 around, Yeah. Just,
That's one I've always. What was Kelly like in his prime? I mean, I'm too young to know Kelly in his, Mr. Nine time prime, but what was it like racing with Kelly?
he's intense. you know, he's, he's pretty serious, but he's genuine. I mean, them first few years that we raced at, those skyrockets with him, we learned a lot, and then we started, but we were always, kind of doing what Kelly said, it's his car, and what we have to do here and there. And finally, we got to thinking, well, I think we should, we ventured out a few different things, and then I started pouring the gear to cars, but I had the motor to do it, and but no, we had a lot of great races with Kelly, a lot of good times. We traveled with him a lot, back then too, and but no, it was it was a lot of fun.
You got any good brawl stories, Al? Any nights that
And
you're
what
just
stories?
fucking short end of the stick and you had to give them the business?
Brawl? Oh no,
Brawl story.
uh,
Can brawl.
nothing ever happened like that with me. I never. I, I I don't know. Everybody teased me a lot, but nobody ever wanted to. I wrestled with Joe Bob quite a bit, and I won those. But
Nobody
um,
wanted to pick fights with you?
no,
No, that
Yeah.
mustache. You don't pick a fight with a guy with a mustache. No way.
well, they sure teased me about it a lot. But yeah, but uh, yeah, I
Al,
got
you probably had the between you and Mike Sorensen, probably the two greatest mustaches in dirt rate. Kelly rocked a mustache, didn't he?
Kelly did too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I just I guess I went on and on. I didn't know it was such a faux pas to have just the stash.
You
And
don't
then
think you haven't
It's
rocked one in
probably
a
it's
while?
probably worth a couple tens.
yeah,
At least.
Oh no, it was all fun. But well, Al, we've had you on here about an hour, I guess.
that's all right. That's fun.
Oh, one I did, Dad, I had to ask you about this. Do you got any fun stories, Al, about the jukebox in Algona?
Nothing I'm going to talk about here.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's about that's good.
It's
Geez.
kind of what we expected.
That
Dad,
was that
You
was
said the jukebox was the place to be
you needed
after the races at Algona.
you needed autopilot on your rig to get home after that. But yeah. Yeah. There was a couple. There was, one, we were coming home and I got pulled over in Garner, and my brother, they just kept right on going, right on by, and I wasn't just a couple minutes behind him. We were just talking about this the other day, and he goes, "How'd that go?" He thought I was going to get in trouble. I said, that asshole, he stopped me just to find out how good we did last night or that night, racing. And it was one of this one. There was one couple guys that they came to the races a lot. They were cops, and then they were in Pocahontas and whatever. I mean, they were at Boone partying with us all week, But this guy just happened to be on duty in Garner that night and pulled me over just for fun. Yeah, just to
Just
see.
to get an update.
Yeah,
that's funny
cherries on everything. Pulled me over,
that's
and
funny you say that,
oh,
Al, because actually the friend of ours that said he came with us to Brit that night, he's actually a deputy, and he said you gotta have Al Hejna on the podcast. It was his he and that sounds a lot like something that he would do. Pull you over and give you a hard time just to see how you did. Throw the
yeah,
lights on.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? You're pulling me over for that? Yeah, he just laughed at me and told me to get home.
No, Dad speaks Dad speaks very highly of you and Mike. And he said you guys had
Oh,
a lot of fun over the years,
oh
and
yeah.
he just he just said me and the Hejna boys had a lot of fun over the years.
Yeah, yeah. Your dad and I, we still can't start talking. If we start talking, we're gonna be talking for an hour. Seems like, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. But last one here, Al. If there's any piece of advice maybe you could give to a driver of the younger generation or someone getting, how should I say this? Huh. What God, I don't know how to ask this question now, but what's racing maybe need more of, or what's the younger generation need to take? I don't know how to ask this question. What can the younger generation um take from you? You know, maybe you older guys have been racing for a while. What's something you think that needs to maybe be implemented back into racing, or how can racing become better in your eyes?
Well, one thing I noticed from it's like this generation, uh, and I think it's what's hurting weekly racing is nobody commits to running every night for points. You know, they want to they and the tracks probably don't encourage it enough either. I think I see some guys. I mean, they take money from sponsors to be there, and then they're not there. And then maybe we wonder why we don't get sponsors. And if you it's I'm trying to I don't want to be harsh about it, but there's so many specials now. 30 years
So
ago,
many.
30 years ago, there was, the specials were in the fall. That's what you did. And now there's a special every week.
Hmm.
So, it is hard for, guys that what do you want to race? And weekly racing doesn't pay, enough, especially if, in modifieds. There's no way it comes out unless you get sponsors. And if you're going to get the sponsors, well, then you need to be racing every week,
Hmm.
for them. And, you know, that's one, but then, maybe there's other things that are more important where, I was, I was hard on I just, another reason when I quit in 12, I was really regretting so many things that I missed with my kids because I was committed to racing 3 nights a week. I was just that's all I wanted. I was going to be a race car driver all my life, and that's what I was doing. And I wasn't gonna, miss a lot of races. And we didn't. When we were that was in the late '90s and early 2000s when we were running weekly racing. We ran 3 nights a week, and that was it. We didn't miss a show or anything. But like I said, I was just really regretting missing all those things. And I even apologized to the kids, but oh my God, they wouldn't have had it any other, they wouldn't have had it any other way. They loved it, and turned out my daughter met the flag man. And for me racing all those races, I've got 2 grandkids now. So I guess, it turned around and saved my ass that way. But, maybe some guys are missing nights because something's more important, than what it used to be. But there just really isn't really good points, racing for at the racetracks in some places, but that's a give and take thing, personal life and everything like that. So, but just the biggest thing I would say is don't go in debt for racing. And that was something I've done that a couple times. It's you think this new motor, that new whatever, um, is gonna make you all that money, and it's gonna, it's like gambling. The next bet you make is, people think that's gonna do it for them, but so Um, don't get in debt because it's too hard to claw your way out of that.
Perfect.
Sounds
Well,
about right.
It's good
awesome.
advice.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Well, I think, boys, you got anything else for Al while we got him here?
Appreciate having you or
Robert,
you
Yeah.
yeah, thanks
coming
for
on,
joining
and
us. That was fun, man.
yeah, it was
You
very
bet.
fun.
Yeah,
So
thanks
you
for
guys both won features up at Deer Creek, right?
We did, yeah.
Yeah. I
We
saw
did. Yeah, a
that.
couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They went 1-2. They went 1-2 the night Parker won. Zach was chasing around the top and they were throwing sliders and
Oh,
Awesome.
it was such a fun race.
Lap
yeah.
traffic. Oh my God. I've never had to pass so many freaking lap cars that I made like I love Darwin Carew to death. Awesome guy. I drove right through him coming off of two because he was kind of in the way for a split second. We made contact and I
Yeah.
apologize. Like shit. He's like, you guys were so far out front. He's like, I'm sorry I was in the way. And but
Uh,
it was one of those things where you just kind of had to move and groove through
yeah.
traffic to keep it going because it's like everyone just races so goddamn hard all the
Yeah.
time, whether it's a USMTS show or a weekly show for $1,000. It's like everyone races so hard, and
Yeah.
I feel like you lift a split second, you're getting slid, then it's like, oh, it's fun, but man, it's just intense.
You got to be on your game every night you show up. Don't matter if
Yeah.
it's a weekly show. You got to be on top of your stuff, it seems like.
So my point was, Jackson, was that they've both won at Deer Creek.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
managed to pass them both at Mason City.
Oh,
Oh
I thought you
shit.
were
Whoa.
I thought you were giving me shit
I
because
well,
I haven't won one.
they were dragging that out and not letting me make my point. And I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I think I got by Jackson because he was, or Parker because he was just deciding he had to get up to the top of the track, and then he got back by
I
him.
did. I get sick of following people when if it gets one
Yeah,
lane. I'm like, you know what? I'm either gonna live or die by the
yeah,
top sometime. You might lose a spot or two spots or three
yeah,
spots, but you might gain six.
yeah,
So that was kind of my theory that that
yeah.
other night. But
Yeah, no,
it's fun when you get it wound up at Mason because the
yeah,
corners are so swooping into it. Just
uh,
you don't have to get out of the gas much.
no. Oh, you can get into three hard. Yeah,
I've got a bad
Love
habit. If I'm running 10th on back and I'm not going forward, we're going to the wall just for shits and giggles, just because it's more fun.
yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't know if I've ever found a place that is more of a thrill to drive than Deer Creek when that's right up on the wall. That is, you know, I haven't been
Yes.
to it for a while, but I mean, it's, a few years back we did, and I just don't get up there enough, and but yeah, up around right up on that fence, you're going straight at that wall as fast as you can, and just
Hope it
burp it,
turns.
turn, and you just pulls you right around. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But
yeah,
alrighty, well, we'll get you off here, Al. Like we said, thanks again,
okay,
man. It was really good to
yeah,
talk to you. It
yeah,
was hopefully we'll see you sometime soon.
yeah. We will come on down
Awesome.
to Mason.
You bet.
All
Thanks,
right.
Al.
Yep.
Thanks, Ellie. Appreciate it.
Oh,
You
good.
bet. Yeah.
Thank you, Al.
Good talking to you guys.
Yep, take care.
Yep. Bye.